Investigations Division (FID) is collecting more statements to prosecute those responsible for the multi-billion-dollar fraud at Stocks and Securities Limited (SSL). Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark reminded the country today that the prosecutors have been reviewing the file to determine if more persons are to be charged. The file was submitted in December 2023.
I've been informed that since that time, the FID and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions have met on several occasions, including within the last month, in regards to the review of the comprehensive and voluminous SSL investigative file. Among other things, the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions has recommended that the FID collects 3 further statements, the process of which has already commenced. I totally understand the frustration and the desire for tangible results. I share these feelings too. However, I ask the public to reflect on the fact that there can be no better demonstration of transparency in this matter than our decision to procure the services of an international forensic audit firm to support an independent and thorough investigation, as we have done.
Now, through the partnership with Kroll, an international forensic auditing firm, the FID said over 200 accounts were affected by the SSL fraud. The fraud has exceeded $30 million, or roughly 4.7 billion Jamaican dollars. The government is asking for patience as investigators and prosecutors review the findings. Jean Ann Panton, a former client relationship officer at SSL, is facing several charges, including forgery, larceny as a servant, and engaging in a transaction involving criminal activity.
Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing fine. Now, I want us to have a look at this video from Jamaica. Things are really falling apart in this Caribbean country because public resources are being looted by the government, and this is evident in this video because it is coming out that the Prime Minister is in really big trouble for corruption. So let's have a look at this video, then have a quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
To move a no confidence motion in Gordon House, in the House of Representatives. I was prevented from doing so on what I regard to be a spurious basis, a basis that cannot hold water. The basis that was put forward was that the matters on which my motion was based are now sub judice. In other words, because the Prime Minister has apparently sought judicial review of certain matters arising from what the Integrity Commission has decided in relation to his matter. However, my motion is not dealing with the substance of that report, but is dealing with his own conduct as Prime Minister. And I wish to read the motion now so you can hear it. Whereas there is a ministerial code of conduct in place from 2002 that governs the conduct of members of the cabinet, and whereas the Prime Minister did not inform the people of Jamaica that he was being investigated by the Integrity Commission from as far back as August 2023 for illicit enrichment, and whereas the concealment of this information by the Prime Minister is a breach of the ministerial code of conduct that guided the Prime Minister in removing from office ministers serving in the cabinet over which he presided, and whereas the annual reports of the Integrity Commission for 22-23 and for 23-24 stated that several members of Parliament, initially 6 and then 8, were under investigation for illicit enrichment, but none had come forward to disclose that he or she was under investigation. And whereas the Integrity Commission's investigation report on the 17th September 2024 tabled in Parliament named the Prime Minister as being under investigation for illicit enrichment. And whereas the Prime Minister, as Chairman of Cabinet, instructed members of Cabinet not to divulge the name of any member under investigation for illicit enrichment, contrary to the spirit of the Ministerial Code of Conduct, and whereas the actions of the Prime Minister have caused and continue to cause severe damage to the trust necessary for good order and respect for public office, be it resolved that this Honourable House condemns the Prime Minister for not maintaining ethical standards of transparency and openness in government. Secondly, censures the Prime Minister for his acts of covering up and concealment of the names, including his own, of those members of the Cabinet and/or Parliament of which he was and may still be aware, but has kept them in positions of influence in the Cabinet with the effect of further undermining public trust in the institutions of government, and declares that the actions of the Prime Minister have severely undermined his credibility and trustworthiness, and that he no longer enjoys the confidence of this House. That was the motion that was to be put forward today and hopefully debated next week. We did not want it debated the same day that it was tabled. The Prime Minister is not here in Jamaica. That would not be right or proper. However, we were not allowed to proceed with the tabling of the motion because the Speaker herself had removed herself because the matter affected her husband, and the Deputy Speaker ruled that the motion was improperly brought in breach of the standing orders, relying on the sub judice rule, and so the motion will not go forward. And we think that that is an abuse of the rules of Parliament, and no confidence motions have a very high place in our constitutional arrangements. If a no confidence motion is passed in Parliament, the Governor-General has to dissolve Parliament and call elections. So that is in section, I think, 64 of the Constitution, subsection 5. So for them to block the opposition from bringing a motion on the alleged basis that the matter is sub judice is really, in my view, a bad and sad day for our democracy. Again, it's an example of freedom of speech, freedom of association, our democratic...
Opposition members walked out of the House after Opposition Leader Mark Golding had been blocked from moving a motion relating to what Prime Minister Andrew Holness had said about his statutory declarations.
When Opposition Leader Mark Golding rose to move the motion, House Speaker Juliet Holness excused herself from the sitting, leaving her deputy Heroy Clark to preside over the matter.
Whereas there is a ministerial code of conduct in place from 2002 that governs the conduct of members of the Cabinet, and whereas the Prime Minister did not inform the people of Jamaica that he was being investigated by the integrity...
Member, please.
I don't even need to hear another word. If the member in any way intends to go down a road that is... You can't understand if you don't listen. Permit yourself to use your ears and not your mouth. If it is that the member intends to travel down a road that is going to breach the standing orders in raising matters, let me just say it before, that are sub judice. Hold on, I'm just telling you, that cannot be accommodated in this House.
Member, you start on a premise, and as far as the standing order is concerned, I hear the first part of where you're going.
Deputy House Speaker Heroy Clark used Section 22(3) of the Standing Orders, stating that the motion being moved by Mr. Golding is out of order. He also used the UK Parliamentary Handbook Erskine May to state that matters before the courts cannot...
Now, the Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness is under pressure to resign over integrity probe. Now, this has happened from last month, and things are really escalating and taking a different direction. No one expected it to get this further because there are new revelations on how taxpayers' money have been spent in different ways, and in which it has actually been misused, and the people are not happy, and the whole country is not happy with their leader, Andrew Holness. Now, we've seen PNP leader Mark Golding has gone ahead and tried to bring a motion to the Parliament, a censor motion to the Parliament to question the integrity, to question the capacity and those capabilities of the Prime Minister to lead that nation. And the censure motion has actually not gotten its way through to the Parliament floor to be discussed or to be debated, because the Speaker did not allow that to happen, and the clerks, so maybe for different reasons well known to them. But I'm here to talk to you about whatever is really happening in most black countries, and that's the issue of corruption and embezzlement of public resources. Now, I'm here to talk about our own leaders who we have elected into power, but what are they doing with the power that we have given them? They are doing so many different things, and these things are not to the benefit of the common people who elected them, or who elected them through the representatives in the parliament. Now, this is actually raising so many questions about whatever has been happening for years but undisclosed. Now, the body that is in charge of investigation of corruption in Jamaica has actually gone ahead to probe so many companies that are being associated with Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister. And there were transactions that have been made which are quite questionable, because it is believed it is the taxpayers' money that has been pumped to these companies. And this is whatever. And this is the reality in most black countries. However much some people have already been brainwashed and may not want to talk about it, but the reality still remains that most of the countries in Africa and in the world are rotten to the core. And the leaders we praise and the leaders we elect have always gone ahead to backstab us. Now, the billions of dollars, the millions of dollars that the government is actually misusing in Jamaica could have helped many people who are jobless, those people who can't afford a living, and could have built good schools for kids in Jamaica maybe to enjoy learning, and good hospitals so that the people may get actually good health services. But what happens? Some few people pocket the hard-earned taxes that the people pay. Now, some people do not sleep. Some people are gatekeepers. Some people do some dirty jobs and they are being taxed. Some hard jobs and they are being taxed. And when you see your taxes, the money that you pay to actually receive some good services in the country, the money is not being used well. That's when we always have a problem between the people and the leadership of any other country. So I'm not surprised that some people are actually siding with the government, and as much as they are PNP members or supporters, they're actually sidelining with the evil that is happening in their own country. This is the time to actually rebuke and say no to bad leadership, and say no to corruption and misuse of public resources. The government does not have its own money. Never be lied. That's a narrative that has always been driven to the people, so that you don't care about the taxes you pay. The government, who is the government? There is nothing like the government. The government is that person who you elect, and the rest are just buildings that are used maybe to make laws, policies, and all that. But the government is those people who you have elected so that they may represent you. Those are the people who make up the government. They don't have their own money. The money that they have to use, the revenue, it is being collected and taken to the government coffers, and where it should be distributed to the ministries and help in running the country. But some few greedy people have always decided not to do that, because that's whatever the law dictates, that the taxes should always be kept safe and be used appropriately, and not for one's own selfish benefits or gains. So, Jamaicans, this is the time to rise, see things beyond ethnicity, See things beyond party politics. See things beyond you liking the prime minister or the opposition leader. This is about your life, the life of your children. Now, what country are they coming to inherit? Are they coming to inherit a country full of lawlessness because the money that could have been used to heighten security has been misused or pocketed by some people? Or are they going to inherit a country where the education system is not working, or the whole system is not working because some people looted everything? Or are they coming to inherit a country where the previous governments have taken loans and your country is really in bad shape, in tatters? Or what do you really want to see your generation inherit from whatever is happening in your country right now? And if you actually don't want the worst for your kids, your grandchildren, this is the time to maybe to rise up and say no to hooliganism or tyranny or to embezzlement of public resources. This is the time to rise above ethnicity. Speak truth to power. I've always been watching people sidelining with thieves. I've always been watching people sidelining with corrupt dudes in the government just because they belong to their party or just because they voted for them and they think these people are always right, or the liking they have for them. This is so crazy, and I do not expect anyone who is normal or mentally normal actually to come out and sideline with people who are making your life so hard. If someone is so corrupt in that government, that someone is the same as a killer. Because if you take money or if you go ahead and be corrupt, you are killing lives in another way. If you loot money that were to be used to build schools, you are dooming that generation which could have gotten some good education is doomed. So in that case, you are killing dreams. You are killing the dreams of those people who could have improved the economic status of that country. So as much as we might like the people from our party, it is actually high time we realize that party politics is killing our countries. And this is the time the international society should actually intervene with whatever is happening in Jamaica, because I don't believe if the internal systems can fight the government in terms of corruption, this is the time other countries to get and maybe help out with whatever is going in Jamaica. But Jamaicans, you should actually speak loud. Speak for the betterment of your own lives, because if you're going to keep quiet, your country is going to be messed up. Rise up, Jamaica. Rise up, Jamaicans. Do not sleep, because your country is being looted and is being taken to a ditch that no one will ever save you from. So this is the time you should rise up. Talk truth. Educate your brothers and sisters. Pass the civic education. Those who know something about leadership should educate those ones who are so much ignorant, because that's how you are going to save your country. This is the time. Rise up. Talk, talk, talk. No one is coming to save you, Jamaicans. If you don't talk, you won't have a country. If you don't talk, everything will be gone. Everything will be gone. We've seen that in Africa and so many other countries. This is the time you should save your country. Thank you so much for having taken your time to watch this video. I appreciate so much. One love, my people of Jamaica. Thank you so much.